My name's Reese Hussain, I'm from Global Exposure, and today I'm going to be helping everybody in the room get more conversions out of their website. What we're going to be talking about today is how to utilise your existing traffic to get more inquiries. So there's loads of different ways that you can do this, but I'm going to start off with probably the biggest one, and that is your site speed. When you go to Google, if you're looking for a local service or a product or whatever it is that you're looking for, if you click on a link, realistically, how long are you going to sit there and wait for that to load? Everyone needs things instantly. So if your website is taking longer than 2 seconds to load, you might as well not even have your website live, to be completely honest. So you need to make sure that your website is loading quickly. This is very, very important. Now, there's loads of other ways that you can increase conversions, and what I'm going to do is I've created a list, and I've got 8 packs here. So there's not one for everyone, unfortunately, but anybody that wants one, feel free to grab one or just put your hand up and I can give you one. And in here, I've got a list of all the different things that I'd like to talk about today in terms of ways that you can increase conversion rates. One of the other things that I think is really important for small businesses is when I go onto a small business's website and I think, right, I might use their services or I might inquire with them, the biggest thing that puts me off is if I can't see what they look like. And this might sound a bit silly, but to me it's a big thing. Even like if I need to get a boiler service, I want to see who's going to come to my house. And I think this is quite important. One of the biggest things that I put on the boosting conversions is try to use real imagery. Try to get a photo shoot done. And there's different types of shots that you should have on your website. So for example, you should have what's called the money shot. And this is a picture of you and all of your team. So if it's like a boiler service company or a plumbing company, you want to be standing up outside with your vans, all standing up against the vans, looking smart, branded up. That is a great picture. It just injects trust straight away. You can be confident that this is a legit business and somebody's put their face to that. So the money shot is definitely a good picture to have on your website. And I genuinely believe that if you have real photography on your website, your chances of converting the visitor into an inquiry will go up. Now there's other different types of shots, and I've put a list inside this document of the different ones. So you've got ones like team headshots. I think pictures is quite important. The other thing is, obviously, it goes without saying, reviews, Google reviews. You need to have some form of good reviews, and there's a smart way that you can go about doing this, right? So I would advise setting up a Google business profile. Most of you in the room should already have this. Where you'll get most of the juice is if your customer leaves a Google review with the keyword that you'd like to rank for. So example, if you go to a restaurant in London and you genuinely think it's the best restaurant in London, and everyone goes that leaves a review says this is the best restaurant in London, guess what they're going to rank for? Best restaurant in London. So try to get your customers to include the keyword. So the Google reviews you can embed dynamically onto the website. There's an integration called Elfsight. That's what we use to embed all the reviews. It's really good. What it also does as well is it allows you to apply a filter, which is a bit naughty, but sometimes you're putting it on your website, you want to control what's going on your website, because people do get fake reviews and competitors targeting you, so it's important that you've got a way of controlling that. But yeah, definitely put reviews on your website and try to get them as frequently as possible. So just speaking on reviews as well, I just wanted to give a bit of a side tip here. One thing that I've been telling a lot of my customers that to start implementing, I've been helping them do that, is when you send an invoice to a customer and you've completed a job, what you should ideally do is send them a link to a page on your website and call it NPS Feedback, right? And just say, how was the service and are you willing to recommend us? And if they put 10 out of 10, then you can display the Google review part where they can actually leave you a Google review. So that goes public. So you can kind of control. And if they say 10 out of 10, I would recommend your business, you could then follow up with them and say, oh, it's so amazing that you said you'd recommend my company. I really appreciate that. Do you know anyone? And it's just a way of subtly asking for a referral or an introduction. Because I believe if you get a referral or an introduction out of everyone you do business with, you'll never be out of business. So that's another kind of like side note on the review thing. Just circling back to pictures quickly, right? Customer selfies. This is massive. So this makes a big, big difference. If you have, let's say, like engineers, for example, that are going out and in like a B2C environment or whatever it might be, and you take a picture with your customer. I know this might sound a bit awkward and a little bit uncomfortable, but that massively increases conversion rates. That is good for tradesmen. Case studies, let's talk about case studies. If you're B2B, case studies are really, really important. And what I've found is usually when I look at someone's case studies, they focus on the deliverable. They go like, oh, okay, we built this website, or we've done this for this customer. And that's a poor way to do a case study. I think you should focus on the outcome. For example, like a good name for a case study for me would be like how we transformed links networks conversion rate from 35% to 45%. That would be a good way of doing a case study. And case studies will massively help a B2B customer who goes on your website turn from a visitor to an inquiry. I would advise doing it separate to blogs, so you almost have like your blog post and then you have like your case studies. They should be separate in theory. I wouldn't mix the two. But there's nothing wrong with you doing that, because I'm aware that everyone in here is not exactly a website developer. So if that's the only way of you adding your case studies, there's nothing wrong with that. But it would be a good idea to separate them. Right, custom landing pages. So this is an interesting one. So especially if you're running an ad campaign or something like that. If you're running an ad campaign I'm just going to use tradesmen again, boiler service Milton Keynes, for example, don't direct them to your website where boiler service is like one of the 5 services that you've got on there and it's at the bottom of the list. It just doesn't make any sense. Build a dedicated landing page for boiler service Milton Keynes and have that whole page talk about boiler services in Milton Keynes. The average conversion rate for a website is typically between 2 and 5%. I think the average is 2.35%. That's across all industries though. If you're in the top 10% of performing websites, you'll have 11% conversion rate. So organic search usually produces the highest conversion rate, whereas if somebody, and email marketing as well, those two channels give you the highest conversion rates of visitors that come on your website. Like paid ads is significantly less from the data that I saw, which was quite bizarre. But yeah, so anyway, that's all of my tips on how to increase conversions on your website.